What's going on, guys? This is Old Gaming, and I welcome you all back to another episode of the Pasta Show. So today I'll be reviewing a creepypasta called McDonald's Secret, which just comes to show that you can't always have a decent creepypasta. So without further ado, let's begin the Pasta Show. Fast food places. I love them, don't you? Well, all of them but McDonald's. Why you might ask? Well, this is the story. Be warned, this may scare you a lot. So one day I was hanging out with my friends at my house playing Left 4 Dead 2 together. I had two friends, but I'm not telling you their names for safety reasons. Anyway, back to the story. So we were playing around, killing zombies until soon we got bored. So to satisfy ourselves, we went to the Steam workshop looking for some new maps. We always love classic maps that are realistic, so we looked up survival maps. We heard about a McDonald's map, but we never heard if it was from Left 4 Dead Mods or Steam Workshop. We don't make accounts on stuff like that, so we only searched on Steam. We typed it in but found nothing, so we just got off and played Call of Duty Black Ops 2. After a few hours, they left. If you were wondering, my parents were home at this part. After a few weeks, we were hanging out again, but at my second friend's house. His parents weren't home, and he said we should play Left 4 Dead 2. He said that he had downloaded some mods from the workshop, so we did play it. We had fun until we finished No Mercy. I said that I was bored and we should look around the workshop, so we did, but this is when it all started. We were searching around until we actually did find a McDonald's map. We thought it was just released, so we checked it out. We clicked it and the picture was so realistic. It looked as if someone took a picture of the real McDonald's, except there was blood on the walls. We didn't find it terrifying since this was a map for a zombie game. The only strange thing was almost everything. First of all, the description was empty. Second, there were no pictures but the one of McDonald's. Third, the creator was Ronald McDonald, but his picture, it was Ronald McDonald, but he had a knife and blood was on his face. And he looked very happy, but in a creepy way, unlike the way he usually does. His smile looked like Jeff the Killer smile, but the creepiest thing was the date. All it said was 2010, which was the date McDonald's was made. Well, I'm not sure though. So we all looked at each other. I could see we all were thinking the same thing. Download it. We clicked subscribe and the computer froze. We turned it off and back on. We opened Left 4 Dead 2 and saw a few things wrong. First of all, the background wasn't zombies staggering around. It was McDonald's. The second thing that was off was all the add-ons were gone except McDonald's. We got freaked out but kept playing. We did survival and we played McDonald's all together. We spawned in front of McDonald's. We went inside and saw that there were no weapons. In fact, just then we noticed we didn't have any health kits, pills, or weapons to begin with. We were all even more freaked out than before. We went inside to find actual edible burgers, kind of like the bread in Deathcraft 2. We left the food there. It looked like the burger tank map. The sky was clear. We looked around for a way to start the timer. After 5 minutes of searching, we found that it was by eating a burger. Once the timer started, the sound that usually plays didn't play. Also, the music was a creepy tone. We all heard a sound. Footsteps. We looked at our screens and went to the kitchen. We looked at each other. We were all terrified. We looked at the door that went to the kitchen, which we were in. The footsteps grew louder. We looked at the stoves around the room and almost peed ourselves. On the big stove there was a human head, not with the normal graphics Left 4 Dead 2 normally has. It was so realistic. We saw two other stoves right next to it. Realistic heads were on those two too. Just as after a few seconds we saw something familiar about the heads. We realized they were our heads. Just as we realized it, the door opened and a very realistic Ronald McDonald was right there. We all screamed. He came closer to us with a knife in his hand. We just now noticed that we didn't have an NPC as the fourth person. In fact, we didn't have any fourth player. We slammed at the keyboards, but we couldn't move our players. He instantly killed my first friend first. Then my second friend. Finally, he killed me. It didn't say "you are dead" as usual. It said "you lost." The game instantly closed. We looked at each other and we were just horrified. We talked about what just happened. None of us really understood it at all, so we all just left his house and went home. When we went back home, I was tired and it was 10:30, but my mom and dad weren't home. I went to bed, but I barely got any sleep. All night I was just thinking about the experience. After a while of staying awake, I looked at the clock. 2:12 a.m. At about 4, I finally got to sleep. A month later, we were hanging out again. We decided to go to McDonald's despite the experience we had. The reason why we didn't go anywhere else was, well, for some strange reason, almost everywhere was closed but McDonald's. So we drove over there. We looked at the entrance. It said open, but the lights were all off. We walked in and saw that it was really dark. My friend pulled out his phone and used it for light. We looked around. "This is a ghost town," I said. They both agreed. We looked around. My second friend saw a hamburger on the table. He said, "Guys, look, free food." We walked over to him, but he had already ate it. I was about to say something, but I heard footsteps. By the looks of their faces, my friends heard it too. "In the kitchen, it might be safe there," said my first friend. I tried the door, but it was locked, so we went in the kitchen. We ran to the wall. The footsteps grew louder. Guys, doesn't this seem a little like what happened on Left 4 Dead?" I asked. We looked at each other, but just as we did, the door opened. There he stood, Ronald McDonald. He had a knife in his hand. We were all shocked and terrified. So terrified we couldn't even move. He walked to our first man. Slash! He chopped his head off. He grabbed his head and put it on the first stove. He turned it on and looked at my second friend. As he approached, I heard something. It sounded like a beeping noise. No, a siren. No, a police siren. The horrifying clown turned around to see the police cars. Me and my friend both smiled with glee. We looked at each other, smiling. I screamed as a knife went through his head from the back to the front. He fell down, and now I was facing a horrifying-looking Ronald McDonald. He raised his knife. Bam! He fell down, and now I was facing a police officer. I just stared at him. He brought me outside and into a car, and drove me to the police station. Now I'm at my house watching TV. All of a sudden, one of those horrible McDonald's commercials came on. And instead of advertising, it showed a bloody Ronald McDonald. Pointing at the camera, he said simply one sentence: "I will get my revenge." Alright, so like I said at the beginning, guys, you can't always have a good creepypasta, but that's not to say his creepypasta just totally blew it. I mean, there were a lot of cliches, it's hard to explain. The deja vu at the end, the same thing happening. And, hyper-realism in the game, but other than that, it's okay. I mean, there aren't very many McDonald's creepypastas, I assume. And, this one is alright, but like I said, things could have been a lot better. So, yeah. Also, sorry I had trouble reading. I really need to work on that. Usually I just stumble over my words or say something wrong. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please hit that like button. If you like this series or inner series on my channel, please hit that subscribe button. Or say cheeseburgers. Be sure to leave in your comments what creepypasta you want me to do next, and I will see you guys next time.